Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is the BT-7. It's a Tier 4 Soviet light tank. It's located on the southwest spawn of Highway, and it's under the command of Wazwulf of QU1NN. And we'll have to find out which gun he's got, but I think it's the 37mm. Game on! Well, let's look at the Alpha. 40 Alpha, yep, that's the 37mm. I should actually tell you right away that the 37mm was never on this tank. It only ever had the top gun, which of course is the 45mm, which is a tier 2 gun. This is a tier 3 gun. It has more penetration, less alpha, but it's much more accurate with the 37mm. With the 45mm, it's less accurate, but it does more damage. Okay, I should give an apology to my previous video, because in that video I mentioned that somebody was seal clubbing or puppy kicking, as I put it. I wouldn't condone anyone kicking a puppy unless it was one of those very small yappy dogs that just won't shut up. Then of course drop kicking it is my preferred option, but I know, terrible. I should never say puppy kicking. I only ever meant that, you know, if you ever get annoyed by a dog, oh, that hurts. If you ever get annoyed by a dog, you seriously want to take some action, but of course you can't do so. Okay, BT-7, they made 5,556 of these during the 1930s and 1940s. During the first stages of the war, 2,000 of them were lost within 12 months. It fought in both the Polish campaign, the Winter War, and then the Patriotic War, as they call World War II. It was a development of the BT-5. It was faster, it was sleeker, it was better armed, and in fact actually they did make many modifications to this tank alone. It was supposed to be one of the fastest light tanks in the game. It was 65.4 kilometers an hour. And in fact, there are some BT-7s that were captured by the Finns, which are still around in their tank museum. In fact, the Finns actually converted them into the BT-42, as you know it, with a 4.5-inch gun to actually make it the Jakota, which was very effective. Now the Soviets did the same thing basically, but they didn't put a 4.5-inch gun on theirs. They put a 76mm gun on it, and it became known as the BT-7A, or Arty. And of course that is in the game as a premium BT tank, which you can buy occasionally, and it's absolutely lethal with that that HE gun, because of course you just drive up behind an enemy tank and blast them in the rear and do huge amounts of damage to them. 65.4 kilometers an hour maximum speed. It is a very efficient light tank, but a lot of them were lost because the armor is incredibly thin. 20mm is the thickest armor, and that's at the front of the vehicle, front of the hull. So yeah, if you do get into a conflict with somebody, expect to take some damage, because virtually every shell will penetrate. Wazwulf has already got 1 kill to his name. He's got into the enemy rear. They've got 5 tanks up on the enemy at the moment. You can see that he has taken a bit of damage, but minor. He's just looking for that next tank that he can kill. And he's found one. Now, it's also a tier 4. It is a tier 5 game with tier 4 tanks in it. The Matilda's got strong armor, but he could definitely penetrate the Strodny Viz 39. Now it should be said, a lot of the Soviet tankers would actually ram their BT-7s into the enemy, because not only did it take out the enemy tank, it also took out the BT-7 at the same time. And of course they didn't want the BT-7, they wanted a T-34, because of course that was the next tank they would get if they killed their own tank. So yeah, it didn't have a very good reputation. This is the last enemy, an M10 RBFM. We're going in, and oh, we're getting around the side of him. Our teammate got killed, but And we've got a lot of damage to do to this guy to get rid of him. And he's going to get rid of us in just 2 shots or so. And we're taking damage, but we get him, and that is the end of the game. Wazwulf survives with just 56 hit points left after that action. It would have been sweet and fitting if Wazwulf had wiped out his own BT-7 at the end of that game, but of course he didn't want to die because he wanted to survive. And he got a first ace tanker in the BT-7 from that one. You can tell it's his first ace because he's got the scrolls underneath. That's the only time you ever get it. You also got a fire for effect for doing more damage to the hit points of his own vehicle, and the Hand of God for surviving the battle and receiving damage from at least 4 different enemy tanks. His win rate from that one, 6,233, which is Super Unicum standard. Let's have a look at the team score. But he didn't get the highest damage in the game because that went to a Churchill 1 on his team. He got 1,670. Second highest damage was that M10 RBFM, the one he went up against at the end, who just couldn't get his gun to bear. He got 1,224. And the third highest was the improved M4, who managed 1,181. Wazwulf was actually in 5th place when it came to damage. He got 832 hit points of damage. When it came to kills, though, he was actually joint 2nd. The top scorer was QU1NN on our team, who managed to get 5 kills. That guy picked up a steel wall. 2 kills went to the Churchill 1, the improved M4, to the BT-7 of Wazwulf, the Panzer III Aslains, and on the enemy team, only their Matilda managed to get more than 1 kill, and only 4 tanks actually got kills at all in that one. And when it came to base XP, he's still in 4th place because he got, the top scorer was QU1NN, who got 947, followed by the Churchill 1, 888, and then the improved M4 getting 806. He got 708 out of that one. He fired 37 rounds of the 37mm ammunition, got 31 direct hits and 22 penetrations, 832 hit points of damage, all of it at close range. He did receive 5 hits from the enemy, and all 5 were penetrations. I said that the armor is diabolically bad. 4 enemy vehicles were spotted, 5 enemy vehicles were damaged, 2 were killed, and he got 906 hit points of spotting assist in the game. He earned a profit of 9,242 credits from the game, and he also took away 7,965 experience points, including getting a mission reward for completion, that was 6,372 experience points. So a nice little ace tanker for Wazwulf. If you do intend to do the same, be aware of that lack of armor, and try and do what Wazwulf did and try and just expose yourself to the bare minimum using a ridgeline. It doesn't have much in the way of gun depression. It only has 8 degrees, but it's probably the best way to avoid getting penetrated in the hull. And as I said, the Soviet crews would actually like to come back to their line saying, oh yes, we managed to kill an enemy tank. Unfortunately, we lost our BT-7 in the process because we rammed ourselves into him. And then they, of course, they would quickly dismount from the tank, pick up their weapons, their guns, their Kalashnikov or whatever they had at the time. It wasn't a Kalashnikov actually, but whatever they had at the time. And then they would come back and say, can we have a T-34 this time, please? And hopefully then they'd survive a little longer, because the BT-7, if the enemy caught up with them, they would die very quickly. In fact, a lot of BT-7s were destroyed, not even having moved, because the Germans would actually wipe them out either at long range or before the crews could do anything to get to attack them. So yes, I'm afraid the BT-7, not the best tank, but it's fast. And if you want some exciting gameplay, I think this is one that you could do. Hope you enjoyed that replay. If you did, please give this video a like, and thank you for watching.